All right, Jessie Williams from ANKOR. That's how you pronounce it?
Exactly, ANKOR. Yeah, a lot of people get confused. Is it anchor? Is it ANKOR? It's ANKOR. So you said it
ANKOR.
perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
pretty good. My understanding is that you joined the band in 2014, but
exactly.
I'm not clear, was that before or after the release of Get on the Winner Horse?
Yeah. The thing is, the previous singer that was in ANKOR, they released an album, I think, towards the end of 2013.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she left the beginning of 2014. And of course, they had just released the album.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that was a bit of a pain in the ass, thinking, okay, like we have new music. We just released this physical edition of the album. And it would be a waste not to have these songs with the new singer, which was me in this case. So then we recorded the Get on the Winner Horse EP, and most of the songs from there in the previous album, which is called Last Song for Venus.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of these songs we did in a different version. So we did one of them piano version, another one we did acoustic version to change them up a little bit, but to have these songs with my voice as well and be able to do them in our shows, of course. So that's the story of that EP.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, I'm very curious about the story because I understand your background is from the UK. You moved to Spain when you were very little. How did the band come to be? How did you come to join the band? Did you know the guys before you joined, or did it just happen through, I don't know, some sort of post on internet? How did that happen?
It's actually, I really like telling this story because I had another band in the guys, they're all from Tarragona, but I lived in Barcelona.
Uh-huh.
And I had a band in Barcelona before ANKOR that we did metalcore.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing this show in March 2014 in Barcelona, and they were looking for support bands. So David, guitar player, reached out to me and said, hey, like we're looking for bands to support us on this day in Barcelona. Would you guys like to join? And obviously we did. So we played that show with them. And then it was 2 weeks after that, I would say, that the singer left. And we had met at the show. We had a connection immediately. They liked what I did, I imagine. So they asked me if I wanted to be the new singer in ANKOR, and I didn't even think about it. I just said a big yes. That's how I joined. And then I had both bands for a year, but it was too much for me. I moved to Tarragona to be closer to the guys in ANKOR as well. So a year after that, 2015, is when I decided to just focus in ANKOR.
When did Alani exactly join the band? I'm not clear on that.
Yeah, she joined. I have to think about it too. No, It was September 2022.
Oh, 2022.
Yeah. So a bit over 2 years ago.
And what's the story with her? Because I understand she used to play in auto bands. She's a metal drummer. Yeah. And between you and her joining the band, I saw such an evolution, which I'll get into it later, but there's such an evolution in sound that it's incredible.
Yeah. The story with Eleni is funny because our drummer, our former drummer, left the band, and she was supposed to do the summer shows of 2022, which she did, except for one in September, which she couldn't do. And of course, when she told us, we were like, oh shit, now we have to look for a drummer for September. We need one already. And we actually got in touch with a few drummers, and we spoke to one drummer that wasn't Eleni, and she was supposed to join the band. And a week before, like 10 days before that show, she said, I'm not coming over. We already had the flights and all. So I'm not coming over. I'm not joining the band because I got another offer for another band. Mm-hmm. And we were like, oh, okay. So what do we do now? And talking through a friend, the singer of Nervosa at that time, she's Spanish. She said, Eleni, drummer of Nervosa at that time as well, loves the band. And I don't know, ask her. She might want to do it. So we sent a message to Eleni, and she said yes. And it was crazy because she left Nervosa as well. And the drummer that we were supposed to have joined Nervosa. So it was all a big mess. But I'm very happy that all that happened because we have Eleni and we love Eleni to bits. And Eleni, genius, superhero, she learned all the set list in less than 10 days. And she did her first show with ANKOR in it's a small festival in Spain, Irabras in Madrid. And she learned all the set list for that festival in less than 10 days, and she did it.
Wow.
So yeah, she is a superhero. She's fantastic.
I mean, I've been watching videos of her, of you guys playing live, and like, she has that unique presence. Like, it seems that she's pretty petite, but she dominates the drums like there's no tomorrow.
Totally. And she's a proper character as a person as well, not just as a drummer, but she is a true character. Like, she's so funny, and it's so much fun to be with her and hang out with her. So she's been a great addition to the band for sure.
And she was already in Spain, though. Like, she was not in Greece, because I read she's Greek.
She lives in Greece.
Oh, she does live in Greece.
To this day, she lives in Athens. Yep. She's from Rhodes, but she lives in Athens. And well, we don't rehearse too often, to be honest. I think when you're younger, you rehearse a lot more. You hang out every week. When you live with your parents as well, it's like a way of getting out. You know, you go to your rehearsal space and hang out with friends. But now we don't truly rehearse too much, just right before tours. So what we do is we just book flights for her. She comes up for a week or so. We rehearse all together, and then we just go on tour. So it's quite easy.
Wow, that's cool. So what's that process like? Because you guys write the music at home, I guess. Why do you do some demos and then you share with her? She practices and
exactly. Yeah. We write the demos here at home, and then we'll send her the drums that we write, that David writes, and then obviously she'll transform them and change them up and write them to her taste. So that's how we do it. Basically, we write everything at home and we record at home as well.
That's
so
great.
It's all really easy.
That's amazing. I mean, this brings me to the next question. Basically, I went over all the albums. Obviously, I focus more on Shogunai, but the evolution from the beginning to Shogunai is exponential. But not only from the first albums, even from the previous to last, again, White Dragon. Like, I know it's the biggest hiatus you guys have between recordings. It's about 5 years. But it seems like you guys kind of retreated and, I don't know, used everything good about the band that you guys had before, but totally reached a whole different level of, I mean, to me, the production sounds way tighter, more balanced. The album is, I feel, way more aggressive and heavier than any other album. But at the same time, it feels cleaner and it breathes better to me.
I agree.
Compared to previous albums, the melodies are all out there. There's a lot of power too. But in this case, it's these up and downs that I think made a whole difference. Production-wise, I told David, "Are you going to be on the call? Because we got to kind of talk about it. Because there's also huge evolution in production. I understand he did the production. Why this such a big change?" Especially when things weren't going bad for you guys on the previous albums, but this seems to be a whole nother level. What happened?
Oh, a lot of things happened. I would say, I'm going to mention as many as I can. One of them being, as for writing, I would say the fact that our previous drummer left had a big impact because she left in 2022, as I said. And that had a big impact on the change because she used to write a lot of music as well with David. So it was basically music-wise, David and our drummer, mostly, who did everything. Then I would do the lyrics and melodies and things, but instrumentally, it was them two who had the big weight of writing. And obviously, when she left, it all fell on David. In a good way. I'm going to say this in a good way because he felt a lot more freedom to write how he would write. And this you can see in this mini album in Shogunai. This is David. And for me, I always say it, but for me, David is a genius. He's just fantastic. He's a great producer. He's a great songwriter. He's a great musician. And he's had total freedom in this album to just do his thing. So I think that would be probably the most important part. Then Eleni is a true metal drummer, and you can actually listen to that. There are certain things, certain patterns in drums that we weren't able to do before that now we can. Then another important thing is we changed guitars from 6 strings to 7 strings. So that was...
I could tell there was something else going on in there. I even grabbed my guitar trying to get where we were. And this one that you can see here is a drop D. So I'm like, I started to get in there. So that made a whole difference on the guitars, I could tell. Yeah.
Yeah. 7 strings are a big difference. And they have weird tuning as well. I can't tell you right now. David would be able to tell you the tuning they have. I can't. But they have it. It's weird. I don't know. But yeah, that's another big change. And then obviously I think we've all grown. We've all evolved. We've, like the last album, we were mostly in our 20s. Now we're in our 30s. And I do feel that change in all of us. We've all lived a lot more things. We've had bad experiences, I would say, as well. We've learned from them. And that has helped to do the songs that we've made for this album. So I think it's a big... ball of things that contributed to this change, but I think these would be the most important ones for sure.
Well, they are totally welcome because again, it's. I feel that Shogunai, it's just a whole nother level of production. I totally feel like you sound like an international band.
Thank you,
and congratulations on that. So
thank you very much.
We go through things that then become, nice pieces of art.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you.
Going to your vocals, I wanted to ask you, which singers or artists inspire you in the different, on the melodic part and on the screaming part? Because honestly, the first time I heard the band, the music, I was listening to you guys on Spotify, not on the video. So I thought it was a dude, doing the screaming part. And then I saw the videos. I'm like, wait a minute, especially the live show that you have. What's going on?
Yeah,
your references there.
I have actually quite a lot, but the thing that I would say, the genre that I listen to the most is not metal music. Obviously, I think when you tour and when you do metal music, sometimes you want to listen to other things, and we listen to a lot of soundtrack musics and. K-pop, pop, I don't know. But in this style, I would say the first person that got me into screaming was Lacey Storm from Flyleaf. She was the first woman that I ever heard scream. And I immediately fell in love and I had to do it. I said, I need to do this. And this was probably, I think, 2011. So way back now. But my screams back then were different to the screams now. Probably if you listen to White Dragon and you listen to Shogunai as well, you can tell the difference in the screaming.
Yeah.
It's in White Dragon and previous albums, it's very high pitched.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's because I wasn't doing it properly, actually. So that had a big toll as well on my voice. And in this break between the 2 albums, I trained and I did lessons and I learned how to properly scream. Because obviously there's loads of techniques as well, but I was told that the technique that doesn't fuck up your voice at all is fry screaming. So then I decided to only do fry screaming because the thing that I love most is singing, not screaming. I just love doing melodic. So I want to maintain that. I don't want to screw up with my voice. So I decided to only do fry screaming. And that's what Lacey Stone from Flyleaf does as well. She does fry screaming. So she's a big influence. And then nowadays, probably Ronnie Radke from Falling in Reverse, because he does absolutely everything. Like, you might like the band or not. That's a whole different story. And I had this conversation with a lot of people who don't like his voice or whatever, but I say, he can do everything. He can sing melodic, he can do lyric singing, he can scream, he can rap. So his music for me is a big challenge, and I try to do what he does as well at home a lot. And probably now, this last month or 2 months, it's been Emily Armstrong from Linkin Park, because she's been an amazing discovery for me. And listening to the album as well, all the range, the vocal range that she has is unbelievable. Like, she can do clean singing and it's absolutely beautiful. And then she goes into this very, very hard screaming and with vocal as well. So she's screaming, but there's voice in it as well. So she's unbelievable. And I would say she is, and she is going to be a big influence for sure.
That's so cool. Well, I'm very happy that to hear how that went. But what was the biggest challenge when it comes to learning this technique?
In the beginning, it's very frustrating because you can't get it out. And when you start, they tell you, in the morning when you wake up and you have this raspy voice, like, it's just basically this, but you need to evolve it. So in the beginning, for me, it was impossible. I was thinking, how do I evolve this very little sound and make it sound big? It's impossible. But it takes a lot of practice. An exercise that is very useful is the old cat. And it's basically just pretending you're an old cat, and you make that sound, but with your mouth is like meow, 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 meow. You start evolving this and making it bigger, but it takes time.
Wow.
And I have to say, the big challenge is you can't spend too much time. At least in my case, obviously, this is a different world for everybody, and some people are amazing at screaming. For me, it was a big challenge, and I need to practice every so often, or it feels like I'm back at the beginning again.
I see.
It's not like riding a bicycle for me.
I got you. When you mentioned about the raspy voice in the morning, I love that voice, and I'm like, I want to use it, to make videos because it sounds more like a midnight DJ.
Hi.
Very interesting. Okay, I want to say this from the album. My favorite track, I would say, probably is Dark Beat. Even though I think Stereo is probably not getting as much credit as it deserves. Because I also like that song a lot. But Dark Beat, I think, is the one that has the heaviest EDM influence. And the synth line is very, big DJ arena and all that. Why introducing so much electronic music after all these years? What happened? Was there a change? Or, as you said, that's exactly who David is, and he just couldn't get there before for whatever compromises? Or was it like in the last 5 years you guys or him discovered new music that you were like, oh, this would be cool to integrate into the music? What was it?
I think it's a mix as well. We've always liked EDM, normally sad EDM music. And we thought, hey, there aren't too many bands that incorporate this EDM this way. Obviously, we have Electric Callboy. We have all these party EDM bands, which I love as well. But we were emo kids, and we write sad music. I feel like I'm unable to write happy music. It's very difficult for me. So we decided to incorporate this style in our sad music in a way, and I think it helps a lot. It's easier to write as well. So when we're writing new songs, I think it's very easy to just have a keyboard. The fact that you can just have a little keyboard and synths and start experimenting and playing with it and getting sounds out of it. And just from that, sometimes you get a song. So a song, I think Dark Beat actually started that way, playing with synths and saying, do, 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 do. And then it was born that way, and all the song evolved. But obviously, I think as well, the fact that David now has more freedom to write has influenced a lot in this. And that we've all changed as well. We listen to other things with time. And I don't know what we'll be doing in 5 years' time. Maybe we'll be doing something completely different. You never know. But I really like having the EDM.
Well, let's talk a little bit in general about the lyrics. The lyrics of the last album especially, which are the ones that I had actually time to go over. It tells a story but it's mostly talking about mental health, emotional issues, and all that. Do you feel any sort of responsibility talking about these subjects? Because obviously there's a lot of younger people listening to the music and paying a lot of attention to the lyrics. First of all, I guess, do you feel that there's a responsibility from you and any bands on what you say out there? Or you feel that art is art and you need to express yourself the way you want, or maybe a mix of both? How do you feel about these subjects? Because obviously they're kind of dark.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of each, to be honest. I do think there is certain responsibility. And when we receive messages from people who tell us that they've connected to the lyrics so much, or that our music has helped them through a very dark time in their lives, obviously then I do feel, and we do feel responsible for what we're saying. But at the same time, we're writing about things that either we have lived or someone very close to us has lived. So we are telling a story, and that's life as well. Life isn't always beautiful. The title of our intro actually is a good definition for the whole album, which is: the world is a cruel place, and it is also very beautiful. So it's both things. So I think we shouldn't be afraid of sharing the bad things in life as well. We're very used to nowadays seeing wonderful lives on social networks, on media, like everyone has a perfect life. People are traveling everywhere. But it's not always like that. People go through very bad shit. So I think it's also important to share these things. But at the same time, always give a ray of hope, which is, I think, what defines ANKOR quite well in choruses and in our lyrics. They're quite dark, as you said, but we do always include a bit of hope in them. That's how we are as well. And if we've been through bad times, sometimes that we've got out of it, or we know there's a way out of it. There's loads of things in life that are worth living and that we love. And I think it's important for people as well to feel that. And it's true with Shogunai. It's crazy the amount of messages we've received from people, because we didn't release the album all at once. We started releasing it in December 2022 was the first single we released, which was Prisoner. And obviously since December 2022 to October 2024. So it's been almost 2 years that it's taken us to release the whole album, and we've released each single. And a lot of people have lived this as a journey, and a lot of people mention it as a journey. And for us, it's been the same, because in these 2 years, we've lived so many things. And people relate to these songs as well in different times of their life. And it's amazing. And I think it's truly, for me, it's magical how we've been able to connect with people through this album. Obviously, at our level, we're not a huge band, but we read a lot of comments and we read a lot of messages from people, and it's inspiring. It really is. Wow. So yeah, I do feel responsibility in some part, of course.
I think given the style that you guys doing and the country you're coming from, I think you guys are really big, and growing. I want to ask you something. When are you coming to this side of the Atlantic? I read something that you cannot tell much, so I don't know if you're allowed to, or there's anything already set in stone.
Not really. Not really. We're working on it, and we truly are. It's something that sometimes a lot of people say, yeah, we're working on it, but we truly are working on it. And hopefully this year.
Okay, cool.
I really mean it. And I really hope that it does happen this year. It might happen this year. So I hope it does. I hope it does.
Let's go to the resistance quiz.
Oh, the food. Freddie Mercury.
Nice.
For sure. Ronnie Radke. That would be a fun mix. And Hans Zimmer.
Oh,
That would be a fun mix, I think, those three. And I would be serving, okay, probably the dish that I always make when I have people over, which is a black garlic risotto. Ooh, shogunai. There you go. That's it. I'm a big fan of what we do, and I think I'm the band's biggest fan. So for now, I would say shogunai. There are so many weird moments, wild moments. I would say probably like one of the craziest would be when we traveled to India this year. The first show we played this year was actually in India. And it just started wrong because we got to the airport and we had a problem with our visas in Barcelona. We had electronic visas, but at the not boarding gate before, they were making us give them a printed visa. And we were saying, what's the point of a printed visa if we have an electronic visa? Electronic visa says it all, you know? So we were running around like crazy people trying to find the right document at the airport. And we had something like 10 minutes left for it to close. So we were about to miss the flight. But we managed, we made it, we got to India. We almost died like 1,000 times traveling in those tuk-tuks that they have around the city as well. It was truly wild. At the festival, they sprayed all this like insect spray everywhere, and we were basically gassed as well. All the green rooms were gas, but it was an amazing trip. It was. We had a great time. The festival was amazing. But probably that would be the wild adventure of this year. Probably, I wouldn't know what album or artist to say right now, but it would have to be something with a lot of destruction, killing, something very, very bad. It would have to be something very bad because I think humanity sucks in general. Like, obviously, life is beautiful, the world is beautiful, but humanity as a whole, most of the time it disgusts me, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, there are amazing people on the planet, but if you watch the news, it's just very sad. So I wouldn't know which one to tell you, but it would have to be something very chaotic. Huh. Okay. David, I think, would be Naruto because of his will. And no matter how many times he falls, he always gets back up and keeps fighting and continues working. So that would be him for sure. Eleni would have to be probably... I'm trying to think of a pet from an anime here that would fit with her because she's a character. She's tiny. She's always grumpy. She has two moods, grumpy or funny. She goes from one to another. I don't know which one exactly. Something cute though. Something cute and tiny. I have it. Probably maybe the main character from Karekano, just because she has these changes where she becomes a very small character and she's always pissed off, and that would be Fito. A character that's very explosive would have to be maybe the main character from Tokyo Revengers. Maybe. Julio's difficult because Julio's very calm. He's a very calm person. He's always chill. He's always eating or sleeping. So someone very chill. And then me, I think that's the toughest one. I don't know. I would be maybe... I think I'm a mix of many, to be honest. Maybe I think this is the most difficult question that I've ever got. It's very tough. It's very, very tough. It's difficult. It's even more difficult to describe yourself than others.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. We should know like ourselves a lot more. But maybe I think I would be a mix between Chin-chan and Karikano as well, maybe the main character.
Well, that was the last one. Honestly, it's a great conversation. I truly appreciate you taking the time. Every time that a band answers my emails, I'm super happy because I think that this is the best part of doing this, and it keeps me going. It's a lot of work to keep making videos, but it's fun. And hopefully, this interview and the video review also, open a little door here in the US, and we keep growing.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as well. And as I said, like the thing that we like most about what we do is making connections with people and meeting people. So we love like having interviews and meeting new people around the world. So it's been a pleasure. Of course, we'll be sharing the video and everything.